Nerden. Today I'm going to explain to you how to calculate an angle or how to determine an angle using a protractor, and also what's the difference between an angle and a direction. So firstly I want to show the Cartesian plane. Now this is applicable to South Africa and some of the areas around South Africa, but it's not applicable to other countries. But we basically have a Cartesian plane where our south starts at 0 degrees. This is our positive x. Then we have a positive y, which is 90 degrees. Clockwise direction, we go 180 degrees, 270, and then back to 360, which is where we reset at 0 degrees. Now, please take note, this is our first quadrant, second, third, and fourth. As well as all of our directions and angles move in a clockwise direction to go positive direction, and it goes negative in an anti-clockwise direction. Alright, so the first step, if we want to determine or want to actually first draw a direction between 2 points, for example A and B, where we have 216 degrees, first thing we'll do is we'll plot its coordinate, or plot it on paper, and just to get a rough sketch of it. The next thing is we'll add the Cartesian plane over this. Now if you're doing this in the paper, for example, just do this roughly with pencil. You don't actually have to write all the little grid lines or write the angles themselves. It's just for you to sort of get a rough idea of where the different directions are relative to A. From there, what we do is we want to work out 216 degrees. So we'll start at 0, as a factor on 0. We'll go around until we get to 180 degrees. Now, the reason why we go past 180 degrees is because we have 216 degrees to draw. So we'll mark out where 180 degrees is, where we start at the top. We're doing the top numericals here because we're going clockwise, and we'll also remember that this line should be on the line of the north and south. Now from there we'll put the protractor or rotate it 90 or 180 degrees so that we have our line on the next part, basically hemisphere, this side of the hemisphere. And we'll start again at 0. Because we're going to 216, we've already got 180, from 0 to 180. So we have to add 36 degrees here, and then mark it out so that we can get our 216 degrees. So what I suggest you do is you mark this little dot, the line on the 36, because you know 36 plus 180 is 216. From there you would take a line, you draw a line from A, draw it in the direction of B through that line that you marked with the protractor, and that's how you draw a direction. Now if you have it on a scaled graph paper, for example, you can also measure the distance and then mark wherever B is on this line. Alright, so that's just a basic way of how to draw direction between 2 points. The next step is to, for example, draw a C following the same guide. To go back, you'll see that around 300, which will be 120 degrees away from it, you will have 180 degrees away from 80, you'll have AC. Alright, so now we've got two directions. Direction is basically not an angle, because an angle's got a different definition, but it is basically in relative to the Cartesian plane, how do you get from one point to the other one. The direction always involves 2 points. And the reason why I want to show you this is because we have something else we call an angle. Angle is the difference between two directions. So it's basically that gap to get from one to the other. Now why do you see the arrow going backwards? Because we have to use minus in this equation to determine what's the difference between AC and AB. Now why do we want that, and why can't we use plus? Because if we had to add an angle to either one of these, we would have to figure out what do we need to add or subtract from them. Now you can't say AB plus AC, that won't give you anything worth, any value that's worth your interest in terms of angles. But if you use AC minus AB, you'll calculate how much do you have to change your direction from A to C to A to B to get your to get that direction. In this case, it's 300 minus 216, which gives us 84 degrees. So that's the difference between directions and distances. And then just the last word I want to say about this is you usually take the highest minus the lowest. However, our south line is our zero line. So sometimes our one value will be smaller than the bigger value, but to get the inside angle, you would have to do something else. So just take note of your angles. So it's usually biggest minus smallest, but you're usually working with the smaller angle between two directions and not the bigger obtuse one outside of it. Alright, thank you very much, and happy